Okay. Hello everyone. Good morning. Welcome to this Kubernetes session. So yesterday we have seen how to create, or yesterday or day before yesterday we have seen how to create a Kubernetes cluster and how to connect to that cluster. Okay. And yesterday we have just talked about the pod, what exactly pod is and how to create pod with kubectl commands. Okay. So each and everything related to the setup that we have done yesterday only. So and we have done some practical as well about the pods, and we have like attached the label, detach it, and deleted the pods. So a lot of things we have did with the pods, and the commands are also available on the documentation. Okay, so you can make use of this. Like kubectl run, name of the pod, it's up to you what you want to keep it. Hyphen image nginx, so this is going to create a pod with the name nginx hyphen pod, and a container will get created with nginx image within that pod. Get pod is to list all the pods. Hyphen o void to get more information about that pod. Describe is for description about that pod. Logs to check the logs, and show labels to check which all labels are attached to that pod. And get pod, this is like a filtering, so show all the pods having label tier equal to front end. Delete all the pods in one command. Log into the pod, then delete a particular pod. Okay, this much we have seen. I have not covered anything else apart from this. Okay, so there are two ways of creating pod or any other resource. One is like imperative way. Imperative way means directly via kubectl command, the way we have just created, and another way is to create it via YAML file. Okay, so both the ways we will be doing that. Okay, so yesterday we have done with imperative way, and the way of creating a pod or any resource via YAML file, we call it as a declarative way. Okay, so we just create a file. File name can be anything, the extension must be YAML. Okay, so file name dot YAML file, and we write some code related to the pod for its creation. And once we do the kubectl apply hyphen f and provide the name of that file, then whatever the things that we are writing within that YAML file, that will get executed, and according to that resource will get created. So today we will be looking for writing a code for the pod file. Okay, so I'll show you how we can do that. As of now, let's check kubectl get pod. Do we have any pod available with us? Okay, no. So let's go ahead and write create a pod kubectl nginx. This is going to create a pod p1 for us. And if you want to I meant to say create a pod with a declarative way, not with this imperative way, in that case either you have to write a YAML file or you have to generate a YAML file. Okay, so writing an YAML file is not recommended because there can be some syntax issue, or maybe some other issue will happen, and you have to keep in mind the syntax of all the uh, content. Okay, but that is not even recommended as well, because it's very easy to generate a YAML file. So let's generate a YAML file over here. Let's say if I try to do it for P2, this hyphen dry run equal to client, it's just a dry run. You can consider this is a mock test. Ideally, if you execute this selected command, then P2 will get created. Okay, so this dry run is just to check the syntax of whatever we have written before that is correct or not, and what is going to happen. Okay, so it is just like a mock test. You can in reality the pod is not getting created with a dry run. Okay, So it is just to check the syntax of the command that we have written. So that's where you can see p2 is not available over here because we have created p2 with dry run. And now if you want to generate a output in YAML format, so -o, just type YAML, so it will just give us a YAML format of that pod. Okay, so this is nothing but a YAML format of the pod. Okay, so if you execute this file with kubectl apply -f file name, then pod will get created at your end. Okay, but we will just understand what exactly written within that file step by step. Okay, so I'll just get this in the pod.yaml. Name can be anything like my pod.yaml, pod1.yaml can be anything. Only thing it should end with YAML. Okay, so I got all the contents within pod.yaml file. And okay, so sometimes copy paste doesn't work properly over here. So let me get this content and paste it over here. This is also not showing properly. Sometimes issue with this. Okay, so we have this pod.yaml file, and now this pod.yaml के अंदर there are certain extra things they have automatically generated, like creation timestamp. This is not required. Then there is this DNS policy. We will understand what exactly is the resources DNS policy to start policy. So but let's first focus on very basic template of the pod. So I am going to delete unwanted uh, content over here. So resources equal to null hai, so let's delete this everything and keep this much content within the pod YAML file. Okay, over here you just have to understand the specification. Okay, specification is nothing but information about the containers, what container will get created, from which image it is going to get created. So that is also defined or mentioned under the specification. So within the specification we are going to mention the definition of the containers. So container will get created from image nginx, and we are giving a container name as p2. Let's say I'll change it to something else, my first container. Then let's come to this kind equal to pod. Okay, so yesterday we have seen like there is deployment, daemon set, so lot many resources. So if you want to create a deployment, then kind will be deployment. If you want to create daemon set, then kind will be daemon set. So based on the I mean to say based on the resource that you want to create, a kind will change. Okay, so right now we are interested in creating the pod, so that's where kind equal to pod over here. And if you come to the metadata is all about the information about that pod. So which all labels you want to attach to that pod is mentioned over here, and what will be the name of the pod is mentioned over here. So let's say I'll say name of the pod as pod 2, and label can be anything, run equal to p2 or anything. Let's say size equal to small. Okay, it's up to us, but label we have to provide over here. We cannot keep it blank. Okay, so we have provided like a label as size equal to small, then we have provided a name of the pod as pod 2, and the specification is all about the container information, like what image you want to use and what will be the name of the container that we are interested in creating. Okay, and this API version belongs to the version of the API server, as within when we talked about the when we talked about our architecture, that time we have seen API server is one of the component which is present within the master node, and that API server is mainly as an entry point. Okay, so what version of the API server that we are using? So the thing is, these are some static content, like what will be the value of the API version is static. Means they are associated with the kind equal to pod. I will show you where you can see all this information, like from where you are getting this information and this is correct or not. Anyway, if you are generating a YAML file, then this information will always be correct. Okay, but let's say if you want to write it manually and you want to know what will be the version for the pod, what will be the API version for the pod, then you can get to see with certain commands that I will show you later on. Okay, so this is the static content and means kind equal to whatever you want to create, let's say pod, and API version will be v1 over here, and this is all about information about the pod, and this is all about information about the containers. Okay, so let's save this. So we have this pod.yaml file we just created, and how many pods we are having currently. We have only p1, and if you want to create a pod via YAML file, then apply -f and name of the file which you just created. Okay, so pod2 got created. Let's say kubectl get pod. So now you can see pod2 is also created over here. So one way of creating a pod is like directly via kubectl run and this command, let's say pod3, and one is like just we tried with the help of YAML file. So it's a declarative format, and mostly we are going to play with the YAML file only, because there are a lot of information I can provide within the YAML file, like what are the resources that container is going to use, what is the image pool policy that is container going to use, and if I want within that pod there should be multiple containers, so I can write the definition of multiple containers, which and this extra details definitely I cannot provide in this imperative way, this way of writing. Okay, uh, very limited information I can provide in this way of creating a pod. So that's where if you want some specific if you want some extra details to provide within the pod while creating, in that case definitely YAML is the format that we have to go ahead and make use of it. We call this as a declarative way of creating a pod. Okay, understood this much? Now if we want to see like which all resources, now I told you like there is a pod deployment daemon set, but it's not like that. There are only three resources that we are going to create. There are many resources, so if you want to just check the list of all those resources, then kubectl get or kubectl API resources. This okay, this is going to give you a information about which all resources that Kubernetes provides to us. Like there is one of the resource that is binding, we will see. There is one more resource like config maps that we are going to see, endpoints. So over here we have just seen pod till now. Okay, and if you do this kubectl API resources, you will get to see all the resources which are provided by the Kubernetes that we can create, and API version over here as well it is mentioned. Like for the pod it is v1. If you want to create this resource, uh, then in that case you have to provide this API version. So based on the resource, the API version will change, and you will get to see that information in this command kubectl API resources. Okay, so for the pod, if you want to create pod, then the API version will be v1 and kind equal to pod. If you want to create bindings, then and it's a case sensitive, it's not like in case of the kind equal to pod and that type you have provided everything in the caps or everything in the small, that will not work. It's very case sensitive, so you have to um, take care of that. And API version also mentioned over here, and along with that some shortcut names are also mentioned over here. So you can do kubectl get pods, you can do kubectl, let's say kubectl get pods. This is going to give you a list of pods. This is also give you list of pods. This is also give you list of. So either you write pods or pod or PO, everything is going to work. So where you will get to see the shortcut name for those commands over here. So in this list you can see short names. So for the config maps, like I can write CM. For the endpoints I can write EP. So while using the kubectl commands, I meant to say, okay. But in case of the YAML file, you have to write the full name. But while using the kubectl commands to fetch those resources, you can always make use of these short names instead of writing this longer one. Okay, so it's up to you which one you want to follow, but I definitely prefer the short names because it's very easy to write and very comfortable with that. So that's where we if we write kubectl get PO or sometimes spots or pod, so all we like in all those we will get the same output. And as there are almost more than hundreds of resources, definitely we are going to see not hundreds but whatever required for us, definitely that we are going to touch to those resources. And namespace, when it is true, when it is false, don't worry right now. When we will learn the topic of the namespace, that time you will understand uh, for what resources it will be true, what resources it will be false. There is some logic behind that, and that's where uh, we will skip this namespace part just for now, and we'll see once we will learn about the namespace things. Okay, so we have created a pod with the YAML file. Okay, this is the YAML file that we have used, pod.yaml. And if you want to delete this pod, so there are two ways: kubectl delete pod p1, likewise you can delete, and similarly you can delete the pod with kubectl delete pod2 as well, like this as well. But I'll not make use of this. I have one more command, delete -f, and this file, the way we have applied this file, I can delete this file as well. It means whatever things that are present within this YAML file or whatever the resources that are created, all those resources will get deleted. So with this file resource pod2 was created, so I have deleted that. Let me tell you one more thing. The way I have written a single pod YAML file, but it's no but Kubernetes allows us to have the multiple YAML file within a single YAML file. I mean to say, let's say if you want one more pod configuration, so just provide three minus signs over here and copy paste this. Okay, let's attach this at the end of the file. Okay, so this is our first uh, pod YAML. So let's say I'm going to write like this. I want pod 1 to be created. Yes. Over here, you can see earlier I was having a one YAML file syntax, but I can have one more as well. So depending on my requirement, I can write a lot of YAML files in a single YAML file. Let's say this is for the name as pod 1, and let's say this is for the name for pod 2. My first container I'll say it as 1, and this is 2. So if I just apply this YAML file, sorry, This auto is not working. So let me just exit this screen and start local terminal one more time. So we have this pod.yaml, and within this pod.yaml I have a syntax for the to YAML file. Okay, and if I apply this file, as there were having two pods information within this file, so one is pod 1, second is pod 2, so it got created successfully. If you delete this file means if you kubectl delete hyphen f file, so as this was having, there were having two pods created via this file, so two pods will get deleted if you do so. So it's like whatever things you are going to write within that file, if that file have created 10 resources, and if you use this command kubectl delete, then all those 10 resources will get deleted at a time. Okay, so you don't have to delete it one by one. So that is the main use case, because if you want to create 100 resources, and in that case you have to, in the imperative way, let's consider, then you have to write kubectl run um, pod name hyphen hyphen image. So likewise you have to do it 100 times, and if you want to delete all those, you have to write it manually. So all those things is not good for uh, you can say practical purpose. Mainly in real time as well, we guys use the YAML syntax only to create any of the resource. Okay, and this was the main thing that I wanted to explain over here. Now, as I told you in the section of the introduction about the Kubernetes, that it is a self-healing, means if I do kubectl get pod, right now I'm not getting any of the pod because all the pods I have deleted. Okay, but in case of the introduction, I told you that if any of the pod gets deleted, then automatically the new pod will get created in place of that, right? So that thing is definitely we can achieve, but for that matter we will need a controller. Okay, so we will just look for the replica set as one of the controller, which which will give us a facility of the self-healing. Okay, so let me just show you with practical. Definitely things will be easy for you guys to understand. If I want to get the code for the replica set, let's say Kubernetes replica set YAML example. So let's head over to the Kubernetes documentation page, and we will just get some syntax related to the YAML. Okay, so I have copied it. I'll say rs is a shortcut for the replica set. So I'm going to give the same file name. Okay, so this got open. Let me delete some unwanted lines. Okay, so let's make it a little bit simpler. I'm going to provide nginx as an image, provide c1 as a container name, and rest of the things looks okay. So what exactly this all YAML file is all about? Okay, let me make it more simpler, so that as this is the first time that we are going to create, so it will be it should be easy for us. Okay, so what we are trying to do over here, replica set is one of the resource which is going to create the replicas of the multiple replicas of the same pod. Okay, as I told you earlier, let's say currently there are two pods are running for our Flipkart application, and if there is any big billion day, so we definitely need 10 pods or 20 pods on that particular day. Okay, and those pods belongs to the Flipkart only. Okay, so in that case we need some identical pods to manage some extra traffic that we are getting on that particular day. So that's where this replica set will come into the picture, where we have to create the replica of the same pod, and that will also give us auto healing facility as well. Okay, so let me explain what exactly this thing is all about. API version, as I told you earlier, like if you do kubectl API resources, then you will get to see the API version value for this particular kind. So here we are creating a replica set. That's where the kind will be replica set, and what name we want to provide to the replica set. Let's say I'll say st subodh dairy replica set. Let's give this any name, and these are the labels that will get attached to the replica set, which is not even much required. Mm, so I'll just provide some smaller YAML file. And how many replicas of the kind of that pod you want, means how many pod you want, uh, similar kind of pod or identical pods you want. Okay, because anyway we are going to get creating a pod. Okay, so pod will get created with this specification, like pod will get created from nginx image. So how many pods you are expecting, or how many pods you require, so that is specified by the replicas equal to 3. And this metadata section is all about giving some information. You can see API version, and this looks good, metadata also looks good. You just have to understand this specification now, what exact, and you don't have to write any YAML file manually. You just have to copy paste it from the internet, or you can just get that YAML file generated. Okay, and this YAML file will help us in creating the resources. Okay, in the specification of this replica set, you will see how many replicas you want. Let's say I want 3 replicas, and in the template section, this template section के अंदर हमेशा pod का specification होता है. Okay, so what will be the label attached to that pod, that is specified by the metadata section. Like tier equal to front end will be the label associated with the pod, and the pod will get created from image nginx, and the name of the container will be c1. So this template is all about information about the containers. Okay, now why do we have this one more thing selector over here? Okay, uh, I'll talk about this later on, because this is little bit tedious or tricky to understand right now. Why do we have selector? But let it be as it is. Just understand rest of the things except the selector, and in next 5 minutes you will understand the importance of that selector as well. Okay, so let's save this file. We have this file, and let's apply this. So once you applied it, then the replica set got created, and this is the name of the replica set that I have provided. If you do kubectl get rs is a shortcut for the replica set, then you will get to see an output that this is the name of the replica set, and how many pods we are expecting. 3 pods, so desired is 3, and currently there are 3 pods running ready 3. It means everything is up to date. If you do kubectl get pod, so you will see 3 pods are up and running over here from 32 seconds. And what are the names of the pod? Because as you know, within this template we never specify name of the pod, because name of the pod will get auto generated according to the name of the replica set. So whatever is the name of the replica set, okay, st-rs is the name of the replica set, hyphen some random characters will get attached to the name of the pod, because each and every pod name must be unique. So that's where random characters will get attached to the pod name every time. Okay, so this is the random character attached to the second pod, this is the random character attached to the third pod. So this way I can go ahead and create as many pod as I want with the replica set, and these all pods are identical to each other because they got created from the same image. And if I show you hyphen show labels, and then the label associated to all the pod is tier equal to front end. Okay, and where it is defined, this is defined under this template section, that tier equal to front end, you can see. So this method, like within the template, it's all about the information about the pod. So the label associated with the pod, the image which we want to use, all those things are mentioned over here. Okay, now let's see if I create one more pod, run p1, and if I say kubectl get pod p1, and as you know, this pod p1 is created simply using the kubectl run command, and these pods are created using the controller replica set. Okay, so if I delete this pod, a new pod will not get generated at like the replacement of that pod will not be there. Okay, because that pod is not created by any of the controller. This pods, these three pods created by the controller, so that's why if you delete this pod, then new pod will get generated automatically at its location, at its place. Okay, so let's say this got deleted, control C, kubectl get pod. You can see this one new pod got created 10 seconds before. So earlier pods were there from 3 minutes, more than 3 minutes, and this last one got created just now. This last one we haven't created. Okay, this got created automatically because one of the pod got deleted from this replica set. Okay, and as per the definition we want three pods at any given point in time at any cost. So who is going to create this third pod if it is not there? That is nothing but a controller. Okay, controller का काम ही होता है कि check करना everything is in a desired state or not, and if something is not there, then create this automatically. Let's see if I delete one more of it. Then a new pod will get created over here at this look place. Okay, so this is the fundamental of the this is the fundamental of our replica set. Now let's understand how this controller uh, make decision whether for which pod a replacement to be created and for which pod replacement to be not created. Okay, let's see if I create one more pod again from image nginx. Okay, and let's see if I have an show labels. Now if you see that these three pods belong have this label tier equal to front end, and p1 have the label run equal to p1, which is the default label. And in case of this selector, okay, now let's come to the selector section. In case of the selector, I have specified match labels equal to tier equal to front end. So this controller replica set is going to replace or is going to create one more pod if anything was deleted for all the pod whose label equal to tier equal to front end. मतलब each and everything will work or will play according to the labels. यहाँ पे labels का importance you will understand. Okay, if what controller is now looking only the information that there must be three pods whose label is matching tier equal to front end. ऐसे तीन पॉड हमेशा होने चाहिए जिसका लेबल tier equal to front end है. And if you remember, I have deleted this pod earlier जिसका लेबल tier equal to front end था. So remaining were only two tier equal to front end, right? Two pods having tier equal to front end. So that's where it has created one more pod with tier equal to front end. Okay, so each and everything will basically works with the help of labels only. Now let me explain this in a little bit different way that why labels are more important. Okay, now what I will do, kubectl delete replica set, so or delete -f replica set.yaml. Let me delete everything, and I think I have a pod, one more pod over here. Let's delete that as well. Okay, and let's go ahead and create a pod, run, let's say pod 1 nginx with some label, uh, let's say label as same label I'll provide. So I have just a single pod whose name is pod 1 and with tier equal to front end. Okay, and this pod is a simple pod without any controller. And now if I show you this YAML file, this is going to create three pods of label tier equal to front end. But if you see, but whenever this we try to apply, that time only two pods will get created, not three, because controller will understand or controller will see there is already a single pod running with same label. So now there are two pods remaining, so it is going to create only two pods. So that is the importance of the label over here. Ultimately it should create three pods with label tier equal to front end. That is the ultimate goal. And over here pod 1 is the one pod having tier equal to front end, and it has created only two pods with tier equal to front end. So total there will be only three pods. Okay, so इसके अंदर कितना लिखा है, उतने ही pods बनेंगे with that labels matching. So अभी anyhow I want three pods of tier equal to front end. So if I delete any of the above, okay, even though if I delete this pod 1, that pod will get replaced with the pod belongs to the replica set. Matlab, if I delete this pod, so one more pod will get created at its place, and that pod will have the name sd-rs, that is the name of the replica set, and some random characters attached to that. So this is the new pod, because from the age only you will get to see कि which one is the newest. So जिसका age सबसे कम है, that is the newest pod. Understood this much what I'm trying to talk about replica set? Then this is one of the replica set, and replica set is the controller. Okay, if you just want to see the description, let's say if you want to get into more information about this replica set, you just need to know the name of the replica set, and let's describe it. kubectl describe replica set and name of the replica set. Okay, so you can say this replica set is one of the controller, replica set hyphen controller. Okay, and this has created three pods, 1, 2 and 3. This has created three pods. And selector, what is we have defined, we have defined tier equal to front end as a selector. So there must be three pods of this, because replica equal to 3, so there must be three pods of this selector, tier equal to front end. And that is the main thing. Image is nginx, and we are giving a pod template. You can see this is the pod template, and within the pod template, this label is nothing but belongs to the pod, and this information also belong to the pod. Like a container will get created within the pod from image nginx. So this is the fundamental about this replica set. It will get rs. I have this 3. Okay, let's see if I just update this replica set dot YAML, and let's say I want 7 pods, not 3 pods. Okay, so internally we already know that 3 pods are always already running with tier equal to front end, and now I am expecting 7 pods, right? So once you apply this, then Kubernetes will see 3 pods are already running, so it will just create next 4 pods. So that's where now we are having 4 extra pods with this names, some random names. Okay, and these pods will just got created, you can see 11 seconds before, with the same label. And if you want to delete these pods, definitely you can delete it with the means let's say big billion days over, and you are now expecting only one pod. So still that is okay for us. If you just have replica set, replica is equal to 1, it means I want only a single pod for tier equal to front end. So out of this 7, any 6 will get deleted, and only a single pod will remain. So that's where you can see only one pod over here. Okay, so this is how like we can increase the number of pods by giving replicas equal to 10, 15, 20, and decrease the number of pods with replica equal to 1 or 2 as per our requirement. We don't have to manually delete one by one to delete everything. Each and everything will happen via this YAML file. Just update that YAML file and apply those changes, so the recent or the latest changes will take into the effects. And just by updating the YAML file will not work. You have to apply that YAML file to get those changes. Okay, so that's all from mine about this replica set topic. We will talk about services, deployments, and other resources in next week. Thank you so much for joining. Take care. Bye bye.